Buenos dias, dear Astro friends from around the world. This is Melanie with the Astro Weather for the week from beautiful and hot, but not excessively hot Cancun in Quintana Roo, Mexico. And yes, it is a beautiful day here. We are having the last days of winter, hard to believe, but in the northern hemisphere, of course, last days of winter before the spring equinox, which is the big event this week. And it will be on the 20th of March, exactly at 2:00, let me verify, 2:01 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. So, yes, the last 2 days of Pisces, the last 2 days of winter are here. And not only that, it's also a hologram for a big transition that is currently happening. And you see that in the astrology of the spring equinox. Just showing you the chart here, right? So, look at that. So much Pisces energy for the spring equinox, right? So much Pisces energy still, and also so much Aries energy already. This is the juncture of the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. With the Aries season, with the spring equinox, a whole new zodiac cycle starts. And that is also marked now not only by the sun as every year, but also by Saturn and Neptune. Neptune, in fact, will for the first time already enter Aries on the 30th of March. And Saturn, for the first time this year, for a little episode, end of May, 25th, I believe. And then fully next year, both of them will fully enter Aries next year in January, February, and unite there, marking a new cycle, a new era, a new cycle between themselves, Saturn and Neptune. They have 37-year cycles, but on that spring equinox point, it's very special because Saturn has to do with time. It's a timekeeper, so it's also an era is ending, and Neptune says its wave is going out and a new wave is coming in. What does that mean? We're releasing the old. We even, you could say, releasing the Pisces age in some way. So what have been characteristics of the Pisces age, and how could that have affected us or influenced us or come through in our own life? Pisces age of the last 2,100 and so years have been characterized by a lot of dedication to the spiritual realm, but often also hijacked by institutions, just like churches, so on. And why it could have been really the spiritual impulse in us, but also used, right, to promise salvation, right, salvation from suffering. And so much suffering has yet continued at the end of the Pisces age. We're not free from suffering, quite the opposite. There's a lot of wars are going on, lots of suffering, and even the planet shows us it's heating up. Everything is chaotic, and that can be actually the shadows of Pisces, where things are in a mess. So with Aries, a whole new way of being has to emerge, is emerging. This is the emergence point, which sometimes turns into an emergency if that is needed. And here is a lovely gentleman in the back putting up the laundry. He's the father of the owner of this casa. So everything is connected, and I love being here. It's a beautiful environment and very smooth and casual. Everything is in flow. That's a good expression of Pisces, right? We're all in this together, and we're flowing well in resonance, in mutual appreciation, and all of this. It's a good vibe, in other words, right? So good vibes are really the essence of Pisces, and of course connection, right? Love, heart, soul, all of that, right? And we're having even currently the moon in Scorpio since yesterday, today as well, and the moon will go into Sagittarius tomorrow afternoon, actually, at 5:25 p.m. Pacific Standard. No, sorry, at 1:17 p.m. The moon will enter Sag. Will go over what I call the Phoenix Point, Phoenix out of the ashes. So this is a whole new energy is arising with the Sagittarius moon, but also then the day after, or kind of 12, 13 hours after, with the moon in the sun in Aries, right? So we're really shifting from even more water than you see in this chart. As you see like sun is still in Pisces, barely. Moon is in Scorpio now. Then to a lot of fire, right? From water to fire. That's a magical energy. That's an energy where things have been released and can be renewed, right? It's really a strong renewal energy that comes with that equinox. And we're also in a retro phase of Mercury, freshly retro, not super freshly, but since the 15th of March, Mercury is retro until 14th, 15th, depending on your part in the world, until April 7th. And simultaneously, Venus is retro. And Venus retro is, of course, much more rare, right? Only every 1.5 years. Mercury goes retro 3 times a year. And this time, both are synchronized retro at the same space in the zodiac. What does that look like? You can see them super close to each other. Mercury here, Venus, and both have gone retrograde from about 10 degrees of Aries and go retro to about 25 degrees of Pisces. So this, even Mercury, Venus mark this transition. So we have been already with both of those, with the messenger, with the love goddess, with our attraction, with our communication, already going into new approaches and maybe also new contacts and connections that have arisen quite spontaneously. And that definitely has happened for me here in Mexico. And so Aries is pretty fast, it's pretty direct, and just gives it a try and see what happens. And it may just be a one contact, or it may lead to more, but it is a really a nice impulse, right? That makes us feel alive and makes us feel, yeah, bold also in a good way, right? Very fresh energy. And both of them are currently retro, so the retro energy can also bring up old patterns and clear those. And that can relate to our relationships, and that can also relate to our communication. And of course, both are linked naturally. Communication is super important for relationships and relatedness, and friendliness and win-win. Super important for communication and negotiation. So the Aries energy can help us, but also hinder us. So Aries energy, as I said, is very present in the moment, doesn't look back, is just spontaneous and in the now and pretty fast. While the problem with Aries can be it's kind of too headstrong, it's too much self-oriented, we're just in for ourselves, and that can be for various reasons. Either we are really very selfish, or it can have to do with even a survival mechanism, right? So I have to look after myself. I'm here, so the world, me against the world, right? That can be also Aries. And so all of that actually is being shown now, and also with Chiron nearby, sort of. Chiron in Aries is holding space and leading on here, so to say. Chiron is the healer, right? So there's a lot of healing of old wounds and early wounds, especially relating to war and conflict. And we see that, of course, a lot now in politics, in the world, and all this division, so much energy is being used and wasted in that regard, and so much killing and so much warfare that doesn't need to happen anymore. And Aries says, where does it all start, right? So how do we individually also look at our own patterns of conflict, and why do we attract conflict? Why do we why are we always so, it has to be according to our own head, our own yeah, so it's very self-oriented otherwise. But also it can bring out the warrior of, in this case, so many things. The warrior of renewal, Aries, right? The warrior of good communication, the warrior of healing. That is all Chiron, then, especially with Chiron in Aries. Then Mercury and Venus will both go back into Pisces to help us reconnect and help us also see where it all comes from in terms of the collective that is influencing and surrounding us, right? With that part, we're not an island, right? We're in an ocean and we are surrounded by a whole collective energy field that we can also, although it seems like sometimes we're just a drop in the ocean, but we can contribute. We can help raise the vibration, especially when when Mercury and Venus go back to where the North Node and Saturn are. So what is our sacred duty here? What is our part, our dharma, our karma to participate, not only participate, but influence and contribute to the whole with a good energy, with blessings, with love, and all of that. So now let's look a little bit at the, speaking of Venus, Venus will be also big news. Let me just take a sip of water. It really is hot here already. The water's happening behind me. I should say behind the screen. And so Venus is big news this week, besides the spring equinox. Why? Because on Saturday, the 22nd, basically the second day of spring also, Venus retro will align with the Sun. And that is a halfway point of Venus retro. It's also called the inferior conjunction of Venus and the Sun. And it's also called new Venus, just like a new moon with Sun and Moon. It's a new Venus with Sun and Venus. And then symbolically already, the Venus will show up as the morning star. We can't see Venus yet, but she is already behind the Sun in the zodiac, but ahead of the Sun, then automatically rising before the Sun, so the goddess of dawn. Up to now, Venus has been the evening star, and it's of course now disappearing because she's so close to the Sun. She's technically symbolically in the underworld. And that has been a big theme, a big marker also, of course, for the Mayan people. I'm currently in the Mayan lands of the Yucatan Peninsula. And Venus has been really big for the Mayan. Venus has been the celestial body that has been observed most. And often also not just to mark the calendars, but also to mark especially military and social events. So it has been said that when Venus arises as the morning star, conflict can come actually. Venus has been there in their worldview, being also a deity of war. So I'm not joining that a prediction in any shape or form. I'm just saying there's different ways of seeing all this. And I would say with the new and the school or the astrology, philosophy and direction I follow, says Venus is our attraction. And now, when Venus comes up at the morning star, she has a Taurus undertone. With the evening star, she had a Libra undertone. The Taurus energy is about joy, is about pleasure, is about really making sure we are taking good care of our senses, everything is in place, and we are enjoying life. We're not making it about others. We hopefully, which was a Libra theme, we hopefully have learned with that retro phase now underway to not so much look at others, compare ourselves with others, be in conflict with others, even right from the Aries side, but actually come fully to ourselves and now live life joyfully and lovingly and exude that. And there's nobody to compete with, really, right? And that can be also the solution, that there's no need for conflict, right? There's no need for war, really, right? And so, what else is going on this week? We have also tomorrow, just before the spring equinox, of course, tomorrow the 19th, the sun will align with Neptune at the very end of Pisces. Before the sun enters Aries on the 20th, and before Neptune enters also Aries for the first time on the 30th of March. So the sun, Neptune, and so much Pisces energy, that is a very fluid situation. Everything that has come together, that has now, how to say, confluence of influences and so on, it can be seen from a solar perspective in a more conscious light. And we can, actually also with our consciousness, transcend all the what we consider as a chaos and mess, because there is, with Pisces, always a paradox, right? There is divine order in the chaos. And this is what it just is at this point. And how can we bring consciousness and light to any situation? And of course, good, raise the vibration and be fluid, not resist, right? Now, let's look at the moon this week. Oh, let's first of all, the decanates, right? So we are also, with that transition from Pisces to Aries, we're also now in the last decanate of Pisces. Until spring equinox, that is double Pisces. That has been going on for the last week or so. It's the last 10 days of Pisces. And so that is where so much convergence has happened, with so much extra Pisces energy. I don't need to re-emphasize it. It's been going on and on that way, and you totally feel it. I don't need to be going on and on. So, and then we are shifting radically from double Pisces to double Aries, with the first 10 days of Aries from the 20th to the 29th of March. We're in the double Aries phase. So this is all about renewal, a big impulse for life. And so, again, emphasize, this is such a crucial week for all of this. Then, let's look at the moon. So the moon is now in Scorpio. Since yesterday, Monday, Scorpio, and Tuesday, today, fully in Scorpio, until Wednesday afternoon. The Scorpio energy could have brought up with the moon a lot of depth, darkness, mystery, but also emotions to process, right? These emotions could be about control, or how can I control my emotions? And then also maybe subtle, but not so subtle, resentment and frustration, and things that, if unprocessed, they're really not healthy, and they actually come back at you, right? So to cultivate those emotions is not a good idea, because ultimately you will be feeling it yourself, right? And so this has been a processing 2 days, perhaps, but also possibly a very magical time, right? So with a Scorpio, things that are usually hidden and under the surface come up and are being seen. And it's been actually a nice combination of the Scorpio moon and the Pisces sun. And we have exactly like today, the 18th, also a grand water trine of the moon in Scorpio, Mars in Cancer, Saturn, and also the sun nearby in Pisces. So much water, so much about emotions, flow, connections, and allowing things to be, and caring, right? How can we proactively care, says Mars in Cancer currently. Mars will soon enter Leo. Okay, so I'm losing track. When is that? Next week, I believe. So not in this Astro Week, but it's coming up end of March. Just look it up. I don't have my calendar with me on my travels. I have my ephemeris, which look like this, but I don't have the calendar for each and every day. So in fact, when will Mars enter Leo fully? Actually, not until April. Oh, right. I remember. Not until April 17th. So we still have a bit of Mars in Cancer going on. End of Cancer also with the Pisces undertone, and you can see that here. But Mars is significant. It's becoming more significant again with the Aries season kicking in because Mars rules Aries. So it's also a messenger, kind of a an ambassador of that Aries energy. And how can we bring it into the bigger family, right? How can we find a renewal? Because we are all connected, we are all a human family. And how would the warrior show up there? And sometimes also old battles in families are just, or what's going on currently is also a hologram for all these old battles. Then the moon, as I said, enters Sagittarius on the 19th. So then we have the moon in the fire sign of Sagittarius. On the 19th afternoon, all day Thursday, the spring equinox day, all day Friday, also first full day of spring. And that is such a renewal energy, that is, it can be such a joyful energy, that can be also bring out a lot that has been, maybe hidden and covered, and now is lots of stories to tell, lots of inspiration to come. That all helps with renewal, and it's about our truth. It's about coming from our heart, and let it lead the way. Then the moon will be in Capricorn on the weekend, basically from all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and into Monday as well. Capricorn is more grounding and really helps to, really more solid. See, look at what really works, what is, based on experience, and is more like a grandmother moon energy with the moon, the waning moon also, on a waning moon phase after the eclipse we had. Hope you saw her, by the way. I saw her here in Mexico. And so the moon in Capricorn is very anchoring all the energy. It's pretty much the moon, the half moon, right, between the full moon, the eclipse full moon, and the next new moon, which will be another eclipse, which will be a partial solar eclipse on the 29th of March. And that Capricorn moon is right in between and also forms then a half moon. So it is an energy to come back to experience, come back to groundedness, and anything solid, right? So, and I leave it with this. This is actually a good landing place for the Astro Weather of the week. I wish you a beautiful equinox week, and you can see me again in the old format in Canada, I guess, next week, inshallah. So God will, and blessings and abrazos de Mexico.